everybody, and we are live. It is Wednesday. It is Benivo Bites. Nicola, great to see you. Akshay, great to see you from India. Richard, there. Ray, people are coming in from all over the world. It's great. Emily, great to see you from France. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be talking about corporate housing, which is a real pain point. Anybody who works in the industry knows that organizing corporate housing, temporary housing, can be a pain in the proverbial. Often the technology is rooted in past centuries in terms of copy and paste and emails and I don't know, whatever, PDFs and what have you. And it doesn't have to be like that. We're going to show you the future of corporate housing and how it's integrated into the Benivo platform. It's a great show we've got for you today, and you're going to love it. But you know how it works, okay? And if so many of you doing it already, join the conversation, write in the comments box, tell us who you are, where you are, what you're doing. Oh, by the way, if you're going to ERC next week, here's a good time to actually say it. Tell people you're going so everybody knows to look out for you when you're at ERC. If you're not going to ERC, well, never mind, there's always another year. But, and in fact, there's the FEM event just a few weeks after that. So if you're going to that, then say that too. So anyway, make conversations with each other, say hi to each other. As I said, today we're going to be talking about, corporate housing. So it's a really exciting subject. And then next week, we're going to be talking about, well, I think it's a really important subject. We're going to be talking about global pay in 2023, and I've called it future shock because let's face it, let's look at what we've lived through. We've lived through the whole remote working revolution. We've lived through COVID. We've lived through, or we are living through, a cost of living crisis, a political instability. All this is going to impact how people are paid. And we've got two great experts with us next week. We've got Judy Canavan and Joe Pansamo from BDO, who are going to be telling us all about global pay and compensation strategies for 2023 and beyond. So a really exciting show we've got for you next week. And talking of ERC, of course, you can get your codes from ERC. So you may want your CPD codes for your GMS and your CRP. You may even want your HRCI code or your SHRM code. I'll leave those up there for the moment. If you want one of those codes, and each code gives you 1 credit, then just jot down the number now, do it the old-fashioned way with a pen and paper, or do a quick screenshot, or indeed get your camera out and take a photo of it. But we'll leave that up there for a moment so you can see exactly what the codes are if you need your CPD codes. Hi there to Millie. She's saying, my first live stream as an AltoVita here in London. Well, welcome on board, Millie. Good to see you. Hope you enjoy the show. And today's show, of course, we've got with us Karolina Saviova and Vivi Himmel from AltoVita, as well as Nitsan Udan from Benivo. So we've got this great show. But before we do that, I always like to share what's been going on in our wonderful world. What's the breaking news that we've had in the last 7 days? So here it is. Let's see this week's breaking news. So congratulations to everybody who's been promoted, everyone who has moved job. I saw lots of very familiar names out there. So, and I know a number of people have not just moved jobs, they're also moving countries. So many congratulations to all of you. If you know somebody who has moved, or indeed you are someone who is moving or been promoted, then send me a message and we'll see if we can get you on Breaking News another week. Anyway, so much for the breaking news. Of course, the next feature of the show, and those of you who are regulars, which is many of you will know this, is we always like to have a weekly immigration update with the legend that is Julia Onslow-Cole. Now, you know how it works, everybody. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's give a really, really big welcome to Julia Onslow-Cole. Julia, great to see. We're talking about corporate housing today. I know you spend half your life in Saudi or Dubai, so you must do quite a lot of serviced accommodation traveling. How's that been for you over the years?
I was thinking about it because I remember when I went on a first assignment to Hong Kong and I had a little baby. She was, 8 months old. And I remember being so excited about the assignment and going into the flat and wanting to make a piece of toast, and a cockroach popped up out the toaster. And I remember that sort of like really, really freaked me out. But obviously,
cockroach on toast is my favorite. You're obviously missing out there. Anyway, Julia, all joking aside, where are you today and where are you going to be taking us in the world?
Okay, so I'm in London. I'm in London again, and I wanted to talk to you about Asia Pac, because we've been hearing a lot about the zero COVID policy in China. And this week it's been the National Congress where Xi Jinping was reaffirmed as president. It was a landmark occasion. And we had been expecting a sort of big announcement on the COVID policy. And a lot of people were very disappointed that actually, there hasn't been that major announcement. But I actually have been speaking a lot to Becky Shear, who's in Shanghai, and beneath the sort of top line rhetoric, it does seem that things are actually moving, which is really quite positive. And I really wanted to sort of explain this. And actually, interestingly enough, I heard some equally similar comments about some of the economic points as well. So no big public statements that we thought might happen, but the government has actually relaxed the number of flights that you can now get to China. And there are multiple airlines, not just Chinese airlines, but international flights, and they're all being increased. And this is all sort of very quietly being done. And I think this is quite significant. So, not the big headlines we'd hoped for, but I think that sort of gently things are moving in the right direction. And then it's important to say, of course, you don't need approval to go to China. You don't need approval letters, but people are quite concerned about what happens if they get COVID while they leave China and try and get back in, or what happens if they get COVID when they're in China and they could go, into quarantine. So people are being very, very careful when they're coming from China. So just turning to Singapore, there's been a lot of interest in this new talent pass. This is called the One Pass. It's coming in 1st of January. It's a personalized employment pass. So those of us who have employees in China, you will get lots of very senior people in your company ask for this. And this is a pattern. It's a trend across the world in immigration. We're seeing it with the golden visa in the UAE. We're seeing some moves in the UK to self-sponsored visas, and this is a trend. Now, if you want to get one of these One Passes, you have to earn 30,000 Singapore dollars a month from the same institutions. It can't be lots of different ones. It's the same. And that's about 21,000 US dollars or about 13,000 UK sterling. So it's quite high. But if you're in a very sort of leading figure in business or someone in the arts, it might be that they would actually waive those requirements. But I think people should be gearing up that certainly top talent is going to be asking for this. The other thing that you should all be really paying serious attention to is that this new points-based system in Singapore is coming in on the 1st of September 2023. And thank you to my partner, Mark Buchanan, because I had a long conversation with him yesterday about what can companies do to get ready for this. So we don't actually have any of the calculators yet. The government haven't released them. But there's 4 main criteria. So 2 relate to the individuals, that's their salary and qualification, and 2 are on the company's makeup of employees, looking at diversity and nationality, and also the ratio of local to foreign talent. So what this means is that although we don't have the indicators, you should be very mindful at looking at your nationality makeup in Singapore. So the idea is that you haven't got too many of one nationality, whether it be US citizens, British citizens, Indian citizens, and that you have this good mix of foreign nationals and local talent. And that's something that you can start to do, because what's really complex about this new points-based system is that you're measured against other companies in your sector. So it's not just how you're doing in your sector, it's how you're doing up against your competitors. And there will be kind of bonus points if you've got skill shortages or you've got innovative programs. So finally, just turning to Japan, from the 11th of October, that's really opened up a lot. It's not necessary to get approval to come in. And there's no requirement now to have a visa if you're a visa waiver national. So that's really, really good. And I think if you look at all the press around it and you talk to people, I've talked to people in Japan, Japan was very hard hit in its economy by tough COVID rules. And really, COVID levels are quite high across Asia Pac. I mean, Singapore had the Formula One event last week, 300,000 people attended, and the rates were quite high. But I think what countries are betting on is that, with the vaccine, everyone should be okay. And then the final thing I want to say is Thailand has this new long-term residence pass, and they made a lot of fuss about it for wealthy individuals and companies. But I have talked about it before, and I said it seems very onerous. And I checked in again this week just to update you all, because again, these kind of visas are what your top talent are going to be asking for. This is kind of the conversation they'll hear, that people are getting these kind of self-sponsored visas. And so you should really be aware of them and really know what the latest is. And the latest for Thailand is it's still very onerous requirements, and we need to wait a bit to see how this program stacks out.
Okay, well, Julia, you always amaze me at the amount of knowledge you get out there, and I know you're supported by a great team from Fragaman. So anyway, once again, many thanks. Now, everybody, you know how it works. We've told you once, we've told you 100 times. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's say a big thank you to Julia Onslow-Cole. And we're going to be bringing on this week our change maker, and our change maker this week is the wonderful Rebecca Kelly. Hey, Rebecca, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great, Brian. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Great. And where are you today? Because I'm hearing you're not in Ireland.
That's right. I'm joining you today from the Algarve in Portugal.
Okay. And a little birdie told me that congratulations may be in order.
That's right. Yeah, I'm just back from wedding leave. I got married about 4 weeks ago. So drawing out that honeymoon, I guess, a second trip away in the last month. So I'm feeling very grateful.
Okay, so out there in the audience, let's hear that. Hit those heart buttons. Let's see the hearts lighting up the screen to say congratulations to Rebecca and to your husband, Ray. Isn't it? It's Ray, your husband? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so anyway, congratulations and great for being on the show, but also many thanks for being a change maker. So tell me what attracted you to being a change maker. Tell us a bit about your passion for technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really passionate about global mobility technology. Really, I feel it has really enhanced the employee experience, but then strengthened relationships for me with my stakeholders and vendors to access to data. Benivo in particular have like a number of kind of innovative financial measures, like the pay later, which for us will like really transform from a DE&I perspective. So like that was something that really attracted me to the Changemakers network. But then for me, I operate like the last number of organizations, the global mobility team has been very lean. So the access to such a broad network of peers to kind of chat through various different mobility issues, brainstorm solutions has been really beneficial for me in my career, as well as obviously the charitable element and being able to support some really worthwhile causes.
Okay, well, we'll get on to the charitable element in a moment, but tell us a bit about Intercom. So, I mean, I think a lot of people know Intercom, but there'll be a lot of people that don't know Intercom that well. So tell us a bit about what your company does and a bit about your mobility team, which I believe
Absolutely.
is quite
So yeah, exactly. So I suppose Intercom is it's a software company that allows businesses to connect with their customers in the moment and on their terms. So for people who like aren't really familiar with us as a company, if you go onto a number of like websites and you see that little kind of icon at the bottom of the screen to connect directly with the company, that's a lot of the time is powered by Intercom. So it's really transformed, I suppose, the engagement between businesses and their customers. Our mobility team is very lean. Obviously, it's actually just myself. I support the global mobility program with a lot of obviously support from other teams like our recruitment, HRBPs, and lots of people along the way in Intercom. So yeah, it's a lean team, but as I said, the network with the Changemakers has been really, really beneficial.
And property, we're going to be talking about corporate housing, but is that an issue of concern for you? Is that something, a bit of a pain point?
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head of being, a challenge for most mobility leaders. For us personally, the majority of our mobility would be into Dublin and largely into EMEA. And there has been such a shortage with temporary accommodation, particularly over the last few months. So it's been an extreme challenge, and not just temporary accommodation, but permanent accommodation as well. So really looking forward to today's show and happy to give any thoughts on the AltoVita experience that we've had as well.
Okay, well, that's great. And Rebecca, tell us a little bit about the charity you've chosen.
Yeah, so I've chosen Breast Cancer Ireland. So it's a charity close to my heart. A lot of friends and family have been impacted by this. So it's really, I'm delighted that we're able to support such a worthwhile cause through our work as well.
Okay, so Rebecca, thank you so much for being a change maker. It's great having you on board. And I know that you value the input into the technology and the ability to chat with others in the industry as well. If anybody else out there would like to be a change maker, then just drop us a message, any of us a message, and Tally's put up there in the post. There's a link there where you can apply. We're always looking for more people to join the change maker network. So if you're interested, do reach out to us. Anyway, we're going to say goodbye to you now, Rebecca. We'll see you later on in the show. And I'm going to be bringing on both Tally and indeed a new Benivo hire into the US, Cara Butler, and they're going to be coming onto the show right now. But before I do, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are running the top 100. We've got the top innovators, and that's something that you can really do now. So if you want to nominate somebody to be in the top 100, now is your chance to do so. So I'll quickly play that video. We'll say goodbye to Rebecca. We'll say hello to Tara and Cara. And you know how it works. did I say Tara? Talia and Cara. You know how it works. Hit the heart button, especially the heart button for Rebecca, and hit the like button and the applause button, and we'll move on to meet Talia and Cara. Hey, Tali and Cara. Now, Tali, you've been on the show dozens and dozens of time, and you're always amazing behind the scenes. But Cara, you've not. So tell us about yourself, Cara, because I know you joined us at Benivo a few months ago. So tell us a bit about yourself, where you are and what your role is.
Yes, well, I'm great to be here. Thanks for having me today. It's been a busy time. I've been with the company now since May. So a little while, but I'm based in Houston, and just glad to be here today.
Cool. And you were with a DSP before, so you worked with Benivo when you were there, and then you're now doing it. So tell us a bit about what you've been up to in the last couple of months. I know you've been to an awful lot of these networking events around the US recently.
Yes. So yes, as in my background with the previous in a previous role with the DSP. I had an opportunity to work and partner with Benivo a great deal. So that was really exciting. But now being on this side and being able to see all the changes that have taken place, and just a very exciting time to be here. So, and of course, my role as a client development manager is to get out there and spread the word. So I have been on the road a great deal at a lot of local relocation council meetings. And so we're back to meeting in person, which is great. So I'm seeing a lot of old friends, and I'm meeting new people. And then next week we're going to be at ERC. So I'm really excited about that too.
So let's talk about ERC, because you're going to be there. But Tali, tell us a bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so the ERC, we're going to be able to. It's going to be a very good place to meet the team and to meet Cara. And I'll send a link to a page. We're going to have a lot of things with Benivo on that event, and I'll send a link with the page with all the information about it. And just one reminder that I really want everyone to note is that if you're around, just stop by the kiosk, stop by our Benivo kiosk, to leave your impression from the conference, and you may even win a guest appearance here in the show.
Yeah, I want to interview the mystery person that wins, because I won't know. It's going to be a surprise for me who's going to be the guest on the show. So the team out there in the RC is going to find me a willing victor. Sorry, not a willing victor, a willing guest on the show in a few weeks' time. So if you want to be on the show, then just stop by the Benivo booth at ERC, and you may get a chance to have a guest appearance on the show.
Yes, and if you're not in Vegas, if you're not in the US, still you have a lot of chances to meet the team. And so, as you mentioned before, we're going to be also in FEM in London, and we're going to have a session there, and we're going to have also our table so everyone can come and join and say hello. And the last thing that I want to share today is another event that we're going to be in. And that's going to be the Global Mobility GME Live. And especially I want to recommend a session with the one and only Beth Nielsen. So that would be an opportunity to meet her.
And I looked at the agenda of that, and shout out to Alex and the team at GME. That looks like a fabulous event, and there's lots of really good people there. So if you don't know about it, I recommend that event, and do come along. Say hi to the GME team, but in particular, say hi to Beth. So,
and I'm going to share links to all of these events, and so that people can sign in and register and join us there.
Brilliant. So what we're going to do now is we're now going to go on to talk about the, if you like, the main subject of the day, corporate housing. I'm so delighted. We've got Vivi Himmel, who's the CEO of AltoVita. We've got Karolina Saviova, who's the CEO of AltoVita. And we've also got the Benivo CEO, Nitsan Udan, to talk about this really, really important subject. So without further ado, we're going to say, sadly, goodbye to Tali and to Cara, but we're going to say a welcome to Vivi, to Karolina, and to Nitsan. So everybody, you know how it works. Hit that heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's welcome to the stage Vivi, Karolina, and Nitsan. Hey, Vivi, Karolina, Nitsan, welcome to the show. And where are you all today? So, Vivi, where are you?
Well, I'm just in my neighborhood in London. Brian, really, really good to be here. Thank you so much for having me and Karolina.
Cool. And Karolina, you're not in London. Where are you today?
I am not in London today. I am actually in the stunning and very cold Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, so you're in Nebraska, and Nitsan, you're in London today, but heading off to ERC next week, I believe.
Exactly. Already taking off tomorrow. So yes, packing time.
Okay, and Karolina, you're going, and Vivi, are you going to ERC?
No, Karolina and I decided to split our time.
Yeah, so you split your time. You're going to be at FEM, aren't you? So everyone's splitting their time wisely. Congratulations, everybody, and wish you all the best for some great events. Now, let's get started. I mean, we need to talk about corporate housing. In fact, before we do, people may not know AltoVita. So, Karolina, do you just want to tell us a little bit about how AltoVita started? So we just give a bit of background there.
Sure. So for those who don't know us yet, AltoVita is essentially providing smart, sustainable solutions to corporate housing solutions to employees anywhere in the world. And we're a proud female-owned, female-led organization. We're active across 165 countries. We have a beautiful network and portfolio of about 1.5 million units.
So let's just say that 1.5 million units you've got.
Yes.
And where's that going to go to? Where do you think you're going to be in, say, 12 months' time in terms of number of units?
So our projections go to 8 million units by 2026. So
wow.
We're very excited about that because we're having wonderful traction with our hospitality partners around the world. We have today about over 2,000 hospitality partners on our platform, beautifully integrated. So this really showcased that there is a lot of interest from the hospitality partners to join AltoVita. And how this whole venture really started, I actually love telling the story. Because I'm always mesmerized and surprised how it is possible that we actually met with Vivi, because we are so similar. We always say that we're like sister from different continents. And so we share quite a similar story. So I guess that it all started by us being assignees. We've traveled around the world. I was personally working for an oil and gas business intelligence. So I was hopping from one project to another. I was based between Western Africa, Turkey, India, Indonesia. And I've had absolutely terrible experiences with temporary housing. In fact, I got even stranded in the middle of the evening in New Delhi because I booked with one alternative accommodations OTA and my host never showed up. So this was really the first impulse towards creating some platform which is fully vetted and which only aggregates high quality providers within which would be fully vetted and essentially integrated.
let's get into that. And actually, I'll ask a question of the audience. I asked it on a LinkedIn poll, but I'll ask this of the audience now. Okay, how many times have you personally stayed in corporate housing? And just to explain what I mean here, I'm not talking about staying in a hotel. I'm talking about staying in serviced accommodation. How many times have you personally stayed in it? Not the number of nights, the number of trips. And I'll give you a choice. Either you've never stayed in corporate housing, you've only ever stayed in hotels on business trips, or 1 to 5 times, or 6 to 10, or over 10. So let's see what our audience says. And what about our guys? I mean, I'll tell you, I think I'm in the probably in about the 5 or 6 category myself in terms of staying in temporary housing over the years. What about you guys? Nitsan, what's your experience in temporary housing?
Well, for those who know me for a long time, know that I have a lot of experience. I used to run a company that's what they did, so I can't even count. This is huge.
So you're in the over 10 category.
Over closer to 100, I would say.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Lindsay, I saw put there more times than I care to remember, which is a great one. And actually, that raises the point that it's not actually always it can be a bad experience too. But Vivi, you've stayed presumably loads of times in temporary housing, and Karolina, you live your life in temporary housing. I think you're the only person I've ever met as an adult who doesn't own any furniture.
Yes, I literally turned my business into a lifestyle. I do stay a lot in corporate housing, literally all the time. And I love it. It's a beautiful way to also discover the product of our hospitality partners.
Okay. I mean, a lot of people are saying over 10, but I'll tell you the results of our survey, which is quite fascinating. Here we go, is 48% of the people who responded, it was about 150 people that responded to the survey, said they had never stayed in corporate housing. And a further 37% said only 1 to 5 times. So in other words, there's only 15% of the people had said they'd stayed in corporate housing more than 6 times. So, I think those of us in the temporary housing game, and I suppose I'm thinking mainly of the AltoVita team here, in some ways you forget that what might be an everyday experience for you and for your clients is actually a pretty rare experience in many cases, even for the clients personally, that they may not have stayed. And that brings me on to the problem. There is a problem with corporate housing. And that's what I think, the technology, the Benivo technology and the AltoVita technology solves, which is that corporate housing, as I said in the introduction, is stuck somewhere in the past. If you want to go on vacation, you go on booking.com or Expedia or Airbnb and you just book it and it's done, and it's a really easy solution. But typically, if you want to book temporary housing, then what do? You get the employee contacts the consultant. They say where they want. They come up with some PDFs. They cut and paste them into some format. They go out to the employee. The employee says which ones they want. They go back to the RMC, and the RMC says, well, actually, they've gone. Or some other problem, and they may not know if they're in the right area. I mean, it can be a complete nightmare. And one of the things that attracts me to AltoVita and to Benivo is the fact in both cases, both companies are taking consumer grade technology and putting it into the relocation industry. So Nitsan, why didn't you tell us a little bit about it from, if you like, the outside in, the process, about how a company would go through an integrated platform? And I know there is a full integration here, which we're going to show between AltoVita and Benivo. But tell us a bit about how that would work.
Yeah, so I think you've outlined the key problems, right? The key problems in our industry at the moment is that there are too many handoffs, too many manual processes, too many opportunities to fail. And we fail, right? Because there are so many opportunities to fail. Somewhere it will fail. And as you said, availability is not up to date because there is a person in the person. A person can miss the email, a person can be sick, and all those kind of things, making the team that is involved in supporting the mobility work do admin work and not do consulting work. And that's the big change that we all see that the industry is going to. We want mobility leaders to be proactive rather than reactive. And in order to do that, we need to eliminate admin work. And we've been looking at that as a holistic view. How is that can be done in an industry? And of course, we'll show also how this works here. But what's excited me when I met Vivi and Karolina is the approach they took there, right? Because I've been in that industry that they were. I know the problems, I know the challenges. And for the first conversation, and when Vivi told me, yeah, that's how we're gonna approach it, it's gonna be zero manual work. I said, well, that's exactly the missing bit into this process and removing layers and streamlining and unlocking the value of data, so we really can change and upgrade the role of the mobility leaders, but also the employees.
Yeah, and indeed, actually, funnily enough, I'll take a comment here from Lindsay. With so many more people having pets after COVID, it's still so limited to supporting families and their fur babies. And I think, again, that's the point. I know that will come out when we start showing the demo. Is it's possible with this technology to put in any filter you want. So if there's a filter that you need to say, actually, pets are allowed, or it's got to have outside space, or it's got to have electric charging for a car or whatever, you can put those filters in. So you can get to that level of granularity that you couldn't get to in the old-fashioned PDF basis that people have been living in the past. So Nitzan, why don't you start showing off a bit of a demo? So let's see exactly how this works. Do you want to share your screen, and we'll get into that?
Let's do that. Just tell me when you see my screen, and I'll start from there.
You're up. Okay, we can see that Benivo homepage. So you're taking us from the beginning, and it says, "Hi Camilla, welcome to your Stark Industries platform."
Yes, and Stark Industries is our demo platform. So we are looking, right? Benivo is adding value to the 3 pillars of mobility, which are the mobility manager, right? We help them automate their daily work, use data to be proactive rather than reactive, and deliver more strategic value. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is the vendors, where we help from vendors onboarding, contracting, authorizing, SLA tracking, and payments, and we'll show all of that in a minute. And then, of course, the third pillar is the employee. And that's what we are looking at here at the moment. That's the platform of the employee. Later on, we will look at the platform of the mobility managers, and we will also see some of the vendor solution or the vendor partner solution that AltoVita is going to show. So as the employee now, I'm having access to a single platform where I can choose between talking to people to getting things done by myself. And I have access to everything I need on a single platform. And the idea is that I will not need to provide the same information over and over again. And I can access anything from payments, allowances, expense reimbursement, to information about my destination and actions I need to complete. And now I'm going to look at the benefits. And here is a set of benefits personalized to me that are applicable to my policy. And I can see what are those benefits, learn a little bit about them, see who are the contact people and contact them. And also create that pizza delivery experience that we call the Benivo trackers, right? The ability to see what's happening at every given moment with any of the vendors. Why we call it a pizza delivery experience? Because when we order a pizza, we can see at every moment where is our pizza. We took the same experience and put that into mobility. So I can see here all the services. Of course, we'll deep dive today into temporary housing, temporary accommodation. But now I'm looking, for example, on immigration, and I can see what's my progress of my immigration application and every step, how long will it take, what are going to be the next steps, and I can see that in real time, and that means that all those SLAs are being tracked as well in the meantime, in real time, providing me all the information about what's going to happen next and managing expectations. So
okay, let's drill down then onto temporary accommodation
service, and the next one, right, that I would like to go into, let's say, is temporary housing. And here I have the option of contacting someone or doing it by myself. It's up to me, personalized experience. And in this case, I'm going to click here on this integration that will take me automatically to the AltoVita platform, already taking my information, so I don't need to enter any of the information again, and allows the magic to start, right? So
okay, so let me come in there and understand. So you're talking about there, that was the integration into the AltoVita platform. And so I thought it'd be helpful to bring Vivi and Karolina, who are the brains behind AltoVita, or one of the many brains behind AltoVita. So Vivi, do you want to take the story further? Let's go on from that platform. And let me just share that screen again. So here we are, that's the screen we were looking at. So that is the Benivo integrated page with AltoVita. So Vivi, talk me through this, okay? So I'm looking to book accommodation somewhere in the world. Where are we going to go in the world, first of all? Dubai, I think, looking at the way you're typing there. Okay, so I think you're on mute, by the way, Vivi.
Sorry about that. All right, I'm back.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so Vivi, you're showing us Dubai. So tell us what happens now.
It's very simple. It's very much like what Nitzan mentioned, consumer grade experience. You're able to search and literally book your accommodations. In the implementation, there will be also a policy building phase where many of the policies, including family size, number of bedrooms that are allowed for specific policy, location, and so on and so forth, can be embedded within the integration. And so the employees, as soon as they come to this page, the system already understands who they are. And whatever they are able to book here are within the policy. So let me just show you how quickly...
I know, just if I can just come in on that, is that we actually did a little LinkedIn poll in terms of things that people like, what they wanted for accommodation. And top of the list came instant booking, and then second on the list came geolocation mapping. And by that, what we meant with geolocation mapping was the ability to be able to link in to your office. So what are you showing me now? You're showing me a property. Now, let's take a client. We're in Dubai, and I mean, I know that, well, Julia has been on the show many, many times from Fragment. So let's assume our client, for the sake of argument, this one's for you, Julia, is Fragment. And so we're going to go to the Fragment office in Dubai.
So this is linked to Google API. Google will allow us to just detect any offices that Fragment has in the region. So we can see Dubai, they have 2 offices, one in Abu Dhabi, and then close by as well in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, and you can do this with any major company. Okay, so what we've got there, I mean, I just love this. What we've got there is that red pin is the Fragment office. And then around it, we've got all the serviced accommodation that is available in Dubai, including things like commute time. So there's just pick a couple of properties nearby. So we're posting somebody to Dubai and they need to be near the Fragment office. So just show us a bit about how that's going to work.
It's very easy. Again, just pick the right property and then you're able to see all of the pictures, which are directly fed to our platform via integrations. Of course, we show the address. So unlike other platforms who actually hide the address, AltoVita demonstrates transparency by showing exactly where the property is located. And it comes with a detailed description as well as all the amenities. And again, if there are any changes to the amenities, they are going to be updated real time. So this is what Nitzan mentioned earlier around the zero manual work. We eliminate all of that work so that the people who are working behind the scene can focus on delivering thoughtful solution for the clients.
So going to the point that Lindsay Stiff was making earlier about fur babies, and I think Trish McDonald said something about having a 170-pound Great Dane. So taking people traveling with pets, we can put in a pet filter, can't we? Here, for example, taking that.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see.
Any filter. Yeah, show us some filters here.
So we developed this filter feature last year during our first ever Corporate Housing Innovation Summit, where we identify a lot of the problems were around pet relocation. And so we've developed this modular filter technology that allows us to easily even create a new filter. Here we've got 3 distinct filters just for pet. Pet can be requested, pets allowed, pet free. Of course, the platform is as good as any data that we have already integrated from the system. So I'm gonna just click here 1, and then let's see if there is any properties in Dubai that allow pets. So it seems like we do have a few. I'm gonna go
as quick as that. And then some of them will have instant booking as well, which is a really cool feature.
Yeah. So here you go. You've seen this adorable pet icon to say that this property allows pet.
Okay. One question that's come in, and I'll just maybe address this quickly to you, Karolina, whilst we're doing it, is Mena has asked, how about the complex countries in Africa and Taiwan? Just want to talk about your the global reach. How many cities you're in throughout the world, and what happens if you're going to a new location that no one's ever heard of before?
Yeah, of course, this is a wonderful question. I was just laughing because pet friendliness is a major, obviously, topic in Dubai with a lot of restrictions. So the reason why you're able to see so many of them is because they're also coming from alternative accommodations. So this is the beauty of our diversified asset classes. Going back to your question about perhaps emerging markets, some high-risk countries, we have a dedicated hospitality team in order to support the client needs in those countries. All of the properties, in case, for example, let's say a client is opening a new market where we're not present yet, and it is located in a high-risk country, we would deploy our expert team, and they would be essentially passing the properties through a 4-tier quality control system that we have developed. What that means effectively is that we are actually meeting with the providers. We are also, they need to reply to a set of questions and compliance requirements before we even start working on the integration with them. So things like insurance or ability to legally operate the property or ability to deliver 24/7 support are absolutely key for us, even for the alternative accommodations I just mentioned. And so after this is all established and SLA is signed, we would then integrate the properties into the system based on the hospitality partner technology stack that they are using. And then after that, it doesn't end here, because obviously the quality of the apartments can change over time. We would always, before every single arrival, do an actual pre-inspection. So this is where we are collecting timestamp pictures from the hospitality operator who do a thorough walkthrough of the property, send the result of the pre-inspection to our independent guest experience team for review, and only once they're happy, then the guests can check in.
Okay. And a couple other questions. Mena asked about complex locations. She mentioned Africa and Taiwan, and I know Vivi, you've been showing properties in Taiwan now, and in fact that's the property you've got up there in Taipei, and you can see there are hundreds of properties in these locations, and with 1.5 million properties going up to several million over the next few years, I mean, clearly there are going to be many locations. And as I understand it, as and when a new client is taken on, you will sort of curate the new locations, and if there's not enough properties, you'll get them into the system pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So people are asking very specific questions. I'm not sure we're going to have time to go into all of them. Someone said you have property in Flamanville in France. I'd never heard of Flamanville in France. You have properties in Halifax in Canada. So people are asking very specific questions. I don't know if you want to deal with those now, or whether you want to sort of go back to Trish and to Elizabeth later.
I think I can give the example there, because we were in those places, right? We are working together on clients, and we got those requests about specific locations, and we're able to either have it already live or be able to source and get the team there, to the team at AltoVita, to bring those properties. So definitely put into the
we're going live here. So this is not anything that's been rehearsed. So Halifax in Canada. And yes, the answer is we do have properties there. So, I mean, it is an amazing database. It is very, very, very impressive. And so, yeah, so we can look at all that. But let's just step back a bit, because I mean, there's other features in there, and I said we're looking at here, and this is Halifax in Canada that we're looking at. But the other thing in there is safety and sustainability. And I know there's a lot of work around that. And you've got safety and sustainability ratings. I think I'll just take this off screen now so we can just chat directly. Let me just, take that off screen. There we go. So tell me, Vivi, tell me about safety and sustainability, and then after we'll spend a few moments on that, and then I'd like to talk about management reporting with you, Nitzan, after that. So tell me about what AltoVita are doing in terms of safety and sustainability.
Yeah, so I hope that some of you still remember we had this fabulous innovation summit, and this year's theme was Smart, Safe, Sustainable. So in doing so, we deployed 3 brilliant features, one on safety, second on sustainability, and the third one really addressing the pain points and the over 50 hours of human intervention in producing just one single RFP. So with safety, it's very intriguing. We work with a brilliant partner called Breezeway. They're an operation-focused property management system that allows much more direct access and contact with the operators, and they developed the geotagged feature on safety. So on the AltoVita platform, you will be able to very quickly filter those properties that have Breezeway's safety card. When you click on it, you will be able to see a report that has pictures of the real safety features, like fire extinguisher or carbon monoxide smoke detector, and so on. And on the sustainability side, Brian, we deployed a brilliant feature within 6 weeks of development called Sustainable Practice. And this allows our property operators to be able to shine if they have any features on sustainability, such as solar panel, or bike rentals, and so on and so forth. They can take pictures and demonstrate that into the platform. And again, it's all searchable by filters. In the future, we have a great ambition and mission to be able to demonstrate carbon emission per night per unit. That's a lot of work in the progress, but so stay tuned.
There's so much there. I'm gonna move on, because I do want to get onto the reporting side of that. But this is just amazing. Again, somebody else, Menazart, is there any support for reviewing rental contract templates for long-term requirements? And the answer is yes. I mean, there's so much here we don't have time to get into, but it is the most amazing integration. So Nitzan, do you just want to talk through the last stage of that, which is the reporting side? So maybe I'll share, you've got your screen there ready for me to share. So let's just put that up, because the other side to all this is how do you actually report and manage and indeed predict what's going on. So this is going back to the mobility manager's role. So tell us a bit about this, Nitzan.
Yeah, so we started by looking at the employee experience. We then look on the support that is given through the temporary housing booking service and how we remove the layers there. Now let's look at the capabilities that this now brings into the mobility leader, right? And so we've switched here to the platforms for global mobility. And here I can authorize the service just in one click. I can look in the performance, and I can see here how many cases we have at the moment with, we call it scorecard. So this is a temporary accommodation scorecard. I can see how many bookings we have in process, how many requests, how many are in progress, what have been the satisfaction scores of my employees? What are the average prices, the total spend, etc. And now I can start and drill down whether I want to do it by month, by week, by city. I can choose, for example, only in New York, and I can see how many cases we have in New York. I can see that the satisfaction scores are a bit low, so I can start lower, or I can start and explore why, and drill down into it. I can see the prices we pay there, and now that all connects into having it on a single platform, right? So having it on a single platform gives the mobility manager also the ability to track SLAs. What is the process with employees? How many employees have booked or not? I can see who is currently in progress, who has been in the queue for longer than what we should have expected them to book their housing by now. And I can even see actual prices, right? So we talked about the smart cost estimate in previous shows. Now we plug into it the actual cost that was spent on housing that allows us to either share with the business in real time what our actual cost and how much we should expect it to cost, as well as improve our estimations as part of the process. So that value of an integrated experience is not only great for the employee, it's also for the mobility manager.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Nitzan. I mean, one of the questions actually somebody asked is, Apurva asked, is can we see the prices when searching directly through your website? And the answer is yes and no, in that you can see the prices, but equally you can hide the prices. So if you don't want the assignee to know the prices of the property, then they can all be hidden too. And that's a very simple toggle switch on the platform. I'm going to bring in our change maker, Rebecca. So Rebecca, hi, and welcome back again. Now, you've used the AltoVita platform, sending people, I think, into Dublin. Do you just want to tell us a bit about your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And as I touched on just earlier in the show, we have experienced huge difficulty in Dublin in finding accommodation, even in temporary accommodation. And AltoVita, the feature of the employee being able to search in real time and direct book, instant book, was really invaluable because we had seen so many cases of providing options that were no longer available if the employee took even a couple of hours to respond. So I think that real time function, the instant book was super, or it is super. Additionally, I think as the global mobility manager on the back end, being able to identify trends like Nitzan just touched on there, seeing like price increases, for example, or exceptions to policies. Say we authorize 30 days, for example, in the temporary accommodation initially, but then we're seeing in X amount of cases, the employees had to extend by a number of days, and using that to kind of iterate on policies. So I think the insights that we can provide through the platform are really, really useful.
Okay, and I'll just bring back onto stage our producer Tally and Julia. Julia, we surprised you there. We picked the Fragaman office in Dubai. So tell us a bit about that. You're on mute, by the way, so if you just unmute yourself. Tell us a bit about your experience of accommodation there.
No, it was really interesting because when I spent 3 months initially in Dubai and I looked around the Palm, but I must say that the quality of the flats that you showed was amazing. And I think, the ease at which you could use the platform to help you search is just, really very, well, it will be an amazing experience for anyone to use that compared to a traditional hunt for a property.
Yep. So if anybody's interested in learning more about housing, then please do reach out to anybody on the Benivo team or anybody on the AltoVita team, and we can talk you through all the way. As I said, this platform is only getting bigger and bigger and better in terms of everything that's being done with the integration. So we are actually out of time. All that it really remains is for me to say a big thank you to Rebecca for being our change maker. And indeed, such a great client. Many thanks to you, Julia. I know you've got a call to hop on immediately now at the top of the hour. And of course, many thanks to Vivi and Karolina for all the incredible stuff they've been doing at AltoVita. It really is a remarkable company. Many thanks to Nitsan as ever, and especially a big thanks to Tally for helping produce the show week in, week out. And if I haven't mentioned it before, everybody, please do remember to nominate somebody for your top 100 innovators. And for those of you who are going to be at either FEM in a couple of weeks' time or at ERC next week, we look forward to seeing you all there, or indeed even at the Global Mobility Executive. So 3 events coming up. We look forward to seeing you all. Take care, everybody, and goodbye, and have a great week, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.